Hi, folks. Welcome back to Never on the Back Foot. Now, India's Asia Cup 2025 squad was finally announced, and it pretty much sent the cricketing world into a tizzy. Rishabh and I were just talking off record about just the hype and how much people were invested in the announcement of a squad for just an Asia Cup, which before probably a lot of people wouldn't have, even batted an eyelid or cared as much. But this time around, it was just. It just led to a lot of like fan-led debates, and in this specific live too, right, we will be looking at player specific talking points, try to analyze what the squad means at large, and can India finally go for glory yet again in Asia Cup, where they already have a very dominant record. And joining me, of course, is Rishabh, our friend from Sportskeeda. Man's doing some good work writing lovely articles. So Rishabh, your first thoughts on the squad at large, like just the hype for Asia Cup. Are you again on the same bandwagon, excited?
There was a press conference to announce the squad for an Asia Cup tournament, so that literally tells you the hype. But again, after the England tour, a long break, no Indian cricket, so understandably so, they built the hype around it, and there was a lot of hype around the players as well, who'd be in, who'd be not, which we will talk about. But if you look at the squad overall, I feel pretty balanced squad. There's enough depth in batting. You have your 4 or 5 bowlers, your genuine bowlers, your spinners, and one thing is very clear from the England tour that they're not going to compromise on batting depth. They're not in test as well, so no chance in T20s, and that's pretty obvious in the squad selection. So yeah, but largely I think a fairly balanced squad. A lot of experienced guys there, a lot of upcoming guys as well, and definitely the squad has the potential to win. Although definitely they're playing in Dubai, won the Champions Trophy as well there. So and quite a few players were there from this squad as well. So I think overall a well balanced picked squad. There are some names who could have been there, who should not have been there, which we will talk about. But largely, yeah, pretty balanced squad. All aspects, all bases covered, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was again one of those squad announcements that didn't really surprise us, except, of course, a few names that, kind of missed out. But again, probably the selectors had their reasons, or as vague as possible they were in the press. So it was just sort of put it in perspective. Let's talk about Suryakumar Yadav, right? Again, being named as captain, all likelihood they're probably looking at him as, a long term prospect, right? To probably even be there for India in that, T20 World Cup in 2026. Interestingly, Shubman Gill being named as the vice captain. So, Rishabh, again, how do you see this leadership duo, sort of shaping India's strategy and how that will eventually play out?
Yeah, I think Surya has been around for a while now as T20 captain, and definitely I think he is going to lead in that 2026 World Cup as well. But one thing we also have to notice that Surya is also 34. He's not young. In terms of the number of games or experience, or when he came in, you could still say that he's not as experienced as the other guys, but on age he's 34, not getting old. So Shubman Gill being named the T20 captain, vice captain, clear indication there that they're looking at him as the future T20 captain. Was a bit surprised because last Gill played T20 was before the 2024 T20 World Cup, right? He didn't play before that. Uh, and he's just been made test captain as well. But I think again they're looking at the captaincy point of view that he's done well on the England tour. 2 seasons he's led Gujarat now as well. Last season they made it to the playoffs. He's done well there as well. So I think that's the potential that they are looking at in to have made him the captain. And of course, recency bias I feel a bit there because he did well in England. So the confidence is there, that momentum is there, that the selectors feel he can carry into this format as well. And probably not far away from the day where we could see Gill being the captain in all formats as well. Again, a debatable call, but I think that is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, let's actually park our car in the Shubman Gill street for a while, right? I mean, with his inclusion, I mean, being announced as vice captain gives us that sort of an indication that he will be in that playing 11, which means we're probably going to have him and Abhishek Sharma opening. You have Suryakumar Yadav probably coming in at 3 or a Tilak Verma. Again, Rishabh, how does India have that flexibility, right, to shuffle across roles? Say an early collapse happens. Are you still confident of how that batting unit is shaping up?
Yeah, I mean, it is shaping up pretty well. Abhishek Sharma, like you told, most likely to open alongside Gill. Gill's the vice captain, so definitely he's going to play. He's done well in the IPL last 3 seasons. He's really done well. He has a good strike rate as well. He scored the runs, so no question on performance there really. Abhishek also has done really well in whatever T20s he's played so far in the IPL as well. And that 3-4-5 middle order, I feel the flexibility thing that you asked, I really feel there is flexibility to shuffle positions. Tilak Verma at 3, you have Sky at 4, Hardik at 5. You probably have Jitesh coming in at 6, then Dubey at 7, and Aksar at 8. So there's a lot of batting. Um, Tilak, again, the kind of game he has, we've seen in the IPL, he can soak in that pressure, he can take in that pressure, stay for a while, and then play the big shots. So you can go up and down with him and Surya. You can also go up and down with Shivam Dubey. We've seen him playing at 4 for CSK in the IPL, so he can also come up, go down. So I feel there is enough flexibility, enough names in that batting order, so that shouldn't be an issue.
I mean, just looking at India's middle order too, right? You have the likes of Tilak Verma, Rinku Singh, and Sanju Samson, who will form that very reliable middle order for you. Again, do you see them as like reliable anchors? Now you have pressure chasers, and we're looking at conditions like Dubai, where it tends to slow a little bit. So would you see them like ideally just play accelerate or just probably struggle a little bit in the slower Asian conditions?
I don't think they would particularly struggle because Dubai is no longer alien conditions, to be very honest. Multiple IPL seasons have happened there. All the teams know what to expect when you play in Dubai. That's nothing new. The Champions Trophy also happened recently, so there are guys in that dressing room who know how the conditions are, and these guys have played a lot under pressure, even in the IPL or for India. So it's not like they aren't reliable players. There's a reason they've been picked. You can rely definitely on them, to, like I said, to hold things. And then they do have the ability to shift gears when needed as well. So, again, I do not think that should be an area of concern for India. I don't think the last thing you should worry about is Indian batters struggling in Dubai.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think it wouldn't be too far fetched to say, the Dubai conditions can be home conditions too, right? Serving so well
Definitely.
for India during the Champions Trophy too. We have an interesting comment coming in from Hanif, who goes on to say Abhishek Sharma going to have a big show in the Asia Cup. I mean, yeah, the kind of form he's been in, he's been climbing the ICC rankings like anything, right? His career has just progressed so well. Again, Rishabh, you just had to put Abhishek Sharma in perspective, right? Had a stellar IPL 2024. 2025, we did see signs of struggle, but then just playing again for India, showcasing, why he is meant to be in this massive stage. But just what have you made of Abhishek Sharma and what he brings to the table?
Yeah, I think the Asia Cup is going to be a big tournament for Abhishek Sharma. Like you mentioned, the last 2 seasons he's done well in the IPL. Last season, all we did see him struggle a bit, but even then he's done well, and his record has been great for India as well. He has that fearless approach to take on the bowlers, and you need that in the top six in this format. Undoubtedly, you need that kind of approach, left-hander at the top. So I definitely feel this is a big tournament for him. He's got to make it his own, and if India are to win, one of the key aspects will be the impact that he can create at the top in those top 6 overs. The more he can give us good starts, big starts in those first six, the more are our chances of dominating, putting on those runs in Dubai. Because the kind of bowling we have, the kind of spinners we have, if you have runs on the board in Dubai, there's no stopping this Indian team from winning the Asia Cup, really. So he'll have a huge role to play.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because probably one area of concern, as you rightly pointed out, India will not have to worry about is the fact that their batting is so deep. Because when you just continue looking at the squad, you have the likes of Hardik Pandya, you have Shivam Dubey and Jitesh Sharma. Now, India does have multiple finishing options as well. But according to you, Rishabh, who do you think will be India's designated closer, or just having too many finishers actually sort of risk muddling that middle order where you need some sort of batters who can kind of just play it along and see where it sort of goes.
No, I think the picks are very clear. They've one thing from this squad selection very clear is they've picked for roles. Jitesh Sharma included in the squad. Shubman Gill is there, so definitely he's going to open. So I think pretty much it's clear that Jitesh is going to be our finisher at number six. He's had a phenomenal IPL, played a huge role for RCB, especially that 33 ball 85 against LSG in that last league stage game. Under pressure, he's done well. So I think Jitesh, if he plays, is going to be the designated finisher, undoubtedly. Then you have the likes of Hardik, Shivam Dubey, Akshar Patel, who can play. Who have the ability to stay there, taking that pressure, and then they can accelerate as and when needed. They've done it in the past as well. So I don't think there's a lot of confusion around who the finisher is going to be. They've picked for specific roles, so I think it's very clear. You have your middle order sorted as well, and there is flexibility in that 3-4-5 to go up and down. So again, I don't think there's a lot of confusion there, and that's the one good thing about this squad is even with a lot of names in the batting order, you can see clarity that they've picked for players for specific roles.
Yeah, I think that definitely has to be the hallmark. I mean, as fans, we can still continue speculating as to where certain battles will play and how that will pan out. But here's the billion-dollar question, Rishabh. That's probably in everyone's mind. Something we were discussing off record as well about Shreyas Iyer's exclusion. Right? It's clearly raised a lot of eyebrows. Just given his experience, right, in big tournaments, we've seen how he's been doing well in IPL the past 2 seasons, leading KKR to a title in 2024, taking Punjab Kings to the final as well in 2025. If you just had to rationalize the decision of not including him, do you think it's justified? It just does not make sense. It's bizarre because it's not just his fan army. It's just so many experts also speaking out loud about why he was not selected and why another player was selected. But in this case, we just had to look at Shreyas Iyer in isolation. What have you made of the decision?
Yeah, from the outset, as a fan, you definitely are going to be like, this is a really baffling call. Why is he not there? Like you mentioned, 2 seasons he's done really well in the IPL, especially last year for PBKS, leading from the front, 600 plus runs, 170 plus strike rate. He's done phenomenally well. The last Champions Trophy, he was our highest run getter in Dubai as well. So there's nothing wrong that Shreyas has done really. But if you look at it from the team management's perspective, Ajit Agarkar also mentioned this in the press conference that there's nothing wrong that he's done, but there's nothing wrong we've done as well. There's no place for him in the squad. And that pretty much makes sense. Like they've picked for specific roles. You have Tilak at three, you can't drop him as well. You have Surya at four, there's Hardik at five. So where does Shreyas Iyer fit in again is the question. But one thing I'm disappointed is I can understand not having him in the 15-man squad, but at least he should have been there in your standby list. Not having him in the 20-man squad as well, is that's slightly injustice to him, I feel, because he's done nothing wrong. So at least you could have him in those reserves. I understand you've picked for roles he doesn't quite fit in, because that top and middle order is really jam packed. But let's say someone like a Tilak doesn't do well, someone like a Dubey doesn't do well, someone like a Gill as well, for that matter, because he's returning to the T20 fold after some time. So in that case, I feel Shreyas Iyer could have been your perfect replacement. They've got Yashasvi Jaiswal in that five standby players, but you also have Samson in the 15. So in case one of the opener doesn't do well, you can bring Samson at the top. So again, Jaiswal will have to wait a lot. So you'd rather have Shreyas Iyer in those standby list at least for the middle order. But again, as fans, you're really going to be angry, and this is that kind of selection where nobody's going to be happy, because they are justified at their side, but a lot of guys missing out as well, so there's nothing really you can do about it.
Yeah, it's probably one of those decisions. I think as fans, we're going to have to live with. And even for Shreyas Iyer, right? Probably he's just going to have to work even harder at the domestic level to, sort of stake a claim back into this already competitive Indian T20 side. But another name that, again, took everyone by surprise was probably Rinku Singh, right? Now, again, he makes it into the squad. Critics argue he was picked ahead of, more proven players, didn't have the best of the IPLs. Again, it's debatable because, the kind of position he was coming into bat was far from ideal and it obviously didn't work out. But Rishabh, to you, Rinku Singh's inclusion is justified again just from a tactical point of view. Man's been doing well in UP T20 league. I think you will have a lot more to add in this regard. But just backing the potential of this man, and you think he still has a lot to offer?
Another debatable call, really. I personally felt that Rinku Singh might not make it to the squad, but like you mentioned, he has a lot to offer. Yeah, the IPL didn't go well the last season, but again, important to see the number where he comes and bats. It's really a hit and go sort of a thing, where you don't have quite an option. You've got to score. So you can't expect consistency from a batter who's batting at that position. You only have to look at the impact. I probably think that's what they've looked at and backed him. Recently in the UPT20 as well, he scored 100. So again, he's showing the potential that he does have. But I feel Rinku Singh's selection is more from a tactical perspective, really. To maintain that left-right combination in the side. You saw that in the England tour as well. One of Gambhir's beliefs to have that left-right combination. And both Shivam Dube and Rinku Singh, for that matter, I feel both of their selections are more tactical, because you can't really put Dube as an all-rounder at the moment. He's hardly been bowling. So if he's coming in as a batter, it's only that to have that left hand right hand combination set. I feel so. It's clearly more of a tactical call why Dube and Rinku both are there. I really don't know, honestly, if Rinku will make it to the playing 11. Might be one of those guys who will sit out for the entire tournament, unless someone really miraculously underperforms and they decide to bring him in. But yeah, I think they've looked to back the impact that he can bring, because you can't expect consistency from these kind of players, like I mentioned in this format. So that's what they've looked to back at, and probably from a tactical perspective of having that left-right combination.
Yeah, makes sense. And hopefully, Rinku does get opportunities if possible because it's an already crowded playing 11. So many players competing for the same spot. It's going to be quite the challenge, to again just be in that playing 11. But let's take a few comments here. Akshat goes on to add that Shreyas I should have been in the squad. Gill ideally should have been rested since post the Asia Cup Test series against West Indies is starting. So in Gill's place, Shreyas would have been there, is what he feels. Also goes on to add that Shreyas Iyer should have, okay, it's yeah, probably the same comment because you have a test series that's starting against West Indies in 3 to 4 days. It would have been ideal. Again, here, Rishabh, probably just adding on to this comment, I think in Indian cricket circles as well, there's a tendency, right, to kind of mold a player and make them like multi format, just have them play each and everything. Where do you stand in this argument? Do you believe that it's best to use a player for whichever format is best suited to them, or do you want to continue using them across formats and see if it continues to reap dividends?
At the beginning, I told you Shubman Gill being picked as vice captain is a very debatable call. This is the reason why I said that, because he's already the test captain. He's a part of the ODI setup as well. Now you have right after the Asia Cup, you have the West Indies series, then you have the Australia, then you're playing New Zealand, then you're playing South Africa. So do you realistically think that Shubman Gill could back to back without rest play all three formats? If you're looking at him as a captain of all three formats, he can't be rested. Captain, vice captain, if he's in the leadership role, he's got to play in all formats. But then there are so many back to back games across formats. So do you realistically think it will be possible for him to play all three formats if he goes on to become the captain in all three formats as well throughout the year, even with the IPL? Lot of cricket, I realistically not possible. So pretty much makes sense that Gill could have been given a rest from the T20 format, preserve him for the ODIs and tests, and bring in. You have ample talent. There's no uh, you don't have it's not like you're limited with players that you have to play them across all three formats. So definitely could have bought in Shreyas Iyer even as vice captain. He's deserving as well. uh, PBKS, KKR, even with Mumbai, he's proved himself as a captain. No doubts there. So really a fair, valid point. And I'm really concerned if you're looking at Gill as an all-format captain. How's he going to play all three formats and all the games across the year? It's really not going to be possible that way. So really fair argument, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell how India sort of, wants to manage Shubman Gill's workload as well. At the end of the day, you'd ideally want this player to, serve you across all formats. But, if burnout and all of those aspects come into play, I think things could get a little complicated. But I think earlier you did talk about Yashasvi Jaiswal as well. I mean, he's obviously a part of the standby list, but he's been left out, right? Won't be probably a part of India's like main playing 11. He's come in with some good performances, but that's the kind of traffic there is in the T20 side, right? Even with good performances, it's difficult to stake a claim. And right now, he's directly competing with Abhishek Sharma as well. But Rishabh, what did you make of this call of not including him in that 15? Do you think it was, a case of Jaiswal just not fitting the mold, or them just wanting to go ahead with the more aggressive option?
I think with every player that we're discussing, one thing is common, that this is, like I told, that kind of selection that nobody's going to be happy with. You have, two and like for and against for every player. Again, with Jaiswal as well, I think they're looking more at a balance, because you already have one left-hander there opening at the top, and Abhishek also gives you 1 or 2 overs of his off spin, especially in Dubai again, where you'll have spin friendly conditions. So that goes in favor of him as well. Jaiswal doesn't bowl. Uh, so I think it's a very clear cut case that, again, there's nothing wrong that he's done, but there's no place for him either. He's there in the standby list, so good for him. He had a good IPL, he's done well in England as well. But that's the thing, like, where do you fit him in again? He's a top order batter. He's definitely not going to bat beyond three. He's not done that, and I don't think he'll fit in there as well. So if you're looking at him as an opener at this point, Abhishek Sharma definitely pips him with his bowling skills as well. So again, a very straightforward call there, and all he also can do is just wait and keep performing. There's nothing more even we can add to this, really.
No, that's actually such a fair point, and it's such an interesting conundrum that the Indian think tank is in. Right, you just have so many talents who are vying for a similar spot. And Rishabh, here's probably where I'm going to throw you a googly, left field choice of say a tri-series sort of a tournament where India is able to field say two teams. Okay, so this way you can have like your talent spread across both the teams. And then you have other competing nations as well. Do you see this as a possibility, just playing out? So this way India can have like two teams. There's probably like an A team, B team, or something like that playing out. And yeah, I mean, all players just getting their opportunity to play and more matches for fans. I mean, who's complaining, right?
I don't think that would realistically be possible at the international level, given the amount of cricket that they're already playing, already jam-packed calendar across all formats, the IPL as well. But I think this is something they could look at in A games. A games have significantly come down in the last few years. So probably you can do that. Have more A tours, India A, India B, and probably call Australia A, England A, South Africa A, whatever. This is something you can implement in the A games, I feel. So players also do not feel slightly left out, and then they also have the platform to keep performing, and then they won't have to be in that situation also where no, you have to go play domestic to prove yourself, because they'll already have played those games, and they're also in touch, because you don't want these guys rusty as well in case they have to come in at some point of time. Probably can look at that in the India A side of things, but international cricket, I don't see that happening right now.
Yeah, and that's probably where I'm going to bin that very outlandish idea because international cricket is again, different source. You obviously wouldn't want to see a scenario where you have two Indian teams, competing out there. But we have some interesting comments coming in. Harshit goes on to ask us, do you think the squad has the right balance, between experienced players and youngsters? Because Rishabh, I honestly just having a look at the squad itself, and you see, right, there's players across spectrums. Like I think Surya is like the oldest player at 34, but you have like really
Yeah.
young players like Harshit Rana, who's like 23, and Abhishek Sharma 24, and all of that. But again, you think the squad hits that right sort of a balance?
Yeah, I think there is a pretty fair balance between experienced players and youngsters. You have Abhishek opening. You'll have Shubman Gill with him. Shubman Gill also again fairly, if you look age-wise, he is young, but he's been there for a long time across formats. So he does have that experience. Surya again, Hardik in the middle, two really experienced guys there. Then you have the likes of Tilak Verma, Shivam Dubey, those youngsters who've been around for a while. They've played a lot of IPL as well now. In the bowling as well, you have Bumrah, quite experienced. You have Ashdeep, who's been around again for a while, although you could count him still as a youngster. If you look at the number of games played, then Harshit Rana as well, someone who's coming up. There's Sanju Samson, who's been around for quite a while. So I think there is a pretty decent mix between experienced and young guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd hope, the kind of nucleus you need for the T20 World Cup next year is formed right from, bilateral series and just multi-nation tournaments like this. Akshat also goes on to ask us who will open for India in the first game. Is it going to be Abhishek and Gill, or is it going to be Abhishek and Samson? Again, a $1 billion question, right? Because Gigi seems to, back Sanju Samson, gave him that opening role, and we saw the kind of batting exploits Samson went on to achieve. But now with Shubman Gill being included, Rishabh, again, how do you look at India's opening situation panning out?
If you ask me personally, I would want Abhishek and Samson to open, but I know that's not going to happen because if you've picked Gill as a vice captain, he's undoubtedly going to start in the 11, and he doesn't fit in anywhere else apart from that opening slot. So Abhishek and Gill, but again, very tough because I don't think you can have Samson in the middle order really. His stats also, if you look, he's played some 70 odd games as an opener in T20Is, 500 plus runs, and all of his three centuries have come as an opener. So he's done well at that slot itself. So ideally, I would want him. And Abhishek and Samson have been opening for a while now. You have that set combination there. They've been playing together. But as things stand, I think it will be Abhishek and Gill who will clearly open in the first game. No doubts there.
Yeah, I mean, with the way things are panning out, Shubman Gill is definitely a sure shot in that playing 11. I mean, being announced vice captain takes us back to, earlier in the conversation when we were talking about him, definitely like 100% being there
He's definitely
in
going to
that.
start.
Exactly. And talking about another very contentious call, let's talk about Harshit Rana, right? Again, his selection has been questioned by many. Uh, there were like a lot of other deserving candidates who probably didn't, sort of make the cut. But again, with Harshit Rana, just the T20 bowler, do you think it's a gamble worth taking? It's just an Asia Cup. There's nothing much to lose, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are two sides of looking at this. He's not been around, he's not played a lot. Didn't have, it was a decent IPL, you can say, the last season, not that great. And he's not played a lot of domestic cricket as well. So you can question how he comes in. Like, what's the merit or criteria of, bringing him into the squad. But then, if you look at the pace options at this moment, likes of Avesh Khan, Mohsin Khan, uh, Mayank Yadav, all of these guys have been injured and they've been away for a while. So, what other options do you have actually at the moment? You've got Arshdeep, you've got Bumrah. Siraj probably could have been in that standby list, but he's had a long series. He's played all 5 games, so probably they're looking at resting him. And I don't think he's in the T20 scheme of things because the 24 T20 World Cup as well, he didn't play a single game, although he was in the squad. So yeah, I mean, it's a gamble that they have gone with, but I don't see Harshit also starting in the 11 in the first 2 3 games. It's clearly going to be Bumrah and Arshdeep who will start. But probably an opportunity for him to learn from these guys, and they're looking to groom him under these guys, because I don't think Bumrah is also going to be playing all formats for a long time, given his fitness and workload management issues. So that's where I think they're looking at building, uh, the pace attack, building those options, upcoming options. You can also argue that there is some recency, some bias with Gigi being there, KKR quota and all of that. But what other options realistically do you also have? The two, three names that I mentioned, these guys are injured, they've been out. So not a lot of pace options, that way for the T20 especially. So fair call, I feel, but yeah, I don't see him also starting in the 11 in the first two, three games at least. But an opportunity for him to learn and groom and develop. And if he does well, he also has that potential. He has good pace. He has a good slower one. He does have the variations. So good for him and good for India at the end of the day. So I'm okay with Harshit's selection, because it's not like there's someone who actually missed out in place of him. If you look at the other options at this point, at least.
I mean, I think a lot of critics were, asking for why someone like a Prasid or even someone like an Akash Deep were
Oh
not
yeah, Prasid
included.
is one name probably who could have been their highest wicket taker last IPL. Did fairly well in the Test series as well. He's playing the Maharaja Trophy as well now. He returned, and he's among the wickets as well the last two three games. So yeah, probably Prasid could have been one option, but I don't know. I mean, I feel that since Harshit he has been being picked in the squad across formats in the last few series. So I think that just looking at having that continuity, maybe I don't know, but I think Prasid is a part of the standbys. He's there in the standbys in those five names. Uh, so yeah, I think they're just looking to have that pool, and as many fast bowlers as you have, uh, the more the better, because they are the most prone to get injured anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just talking of injuries too, right? It's impossible not to look at Jasprit Bumrah. I think he clearly headlines the attack. Really happy to see him sort of be included. Probably a lot of fans to echoed that sentiment that maybe the workload management aspect needs to be looked in for Bumrah, because you have a lot of other important assignments coming in. Including him for the Asia Cup kind of felt like a very bizarre move, according to some people. But again, Rishabh, like, what do you think of Jasprit Bumrah and the whole case of how he is being managed? The workload management aspect comes into play, right? Every time we talk about Bumrah, so better to use him sparingly, or do you want to just use him as and when you could get the best out of him?
Yeah, I feel they are looking at the workload management, because he played only three out of the five tests. He didn't play the last test, so between that and the Asia Cup, there's been enough gap. I feel so. Nothing wrong in having him in the squad, but you also have games against countries like Oman and these guys in the Asia Cup, so could probably look to rest him there. Maybe try Harshit Rana, Prasid Krishna, or these other guys. But it's very dicey with Bumrah, because. You do want him to play that 26 T20 World Cup. You want him to play the 27 ODI World Cup. You've also got to look to manage his workload. But then on the other side, you also don't want him to not have played enough cricket, or come in rusty into these big tournaments, because he is your ace pacer. So from that perspective, or from that sense, I think a fair enough call to have him in the Asia Cup. Probably you can look at the teams you're playing at, or how much is at stake at what point in the tournament, and then you play him or not play him. Use him sparingly, like you said, but no harm in having him in the squad, because you don't want your main guys to be rusty going into big tournaments. You have the West Indies series, I think, after the Asia Cup. So you'll probably see him missing the first test, I think, if he's playing the Asia Cup. But that's also fine. The West Indies is not the West Indies they used to be before. So it's okay if, yeah, I mean, they're not the West Indies from before. So it's okay if you won't have Bumrah for a game there. So that way you can use him sparingly in the Asia Cup, and you can manage the workload.
Probably, Rishabh, at this point, it's important to understand that because the World Test Championship cycle is going on, each test match is important. I mean, as dismissive as we are of West Indies, if on any given day they just turn up and shock India, it could be, quite devastating in that regard. Because if you've seen India's performances in Test cricket lately, well, it's given us enough reasons not to sleep at night. So, let's probably see how that plays out. And hopefully,
Yeah,
Bumrah
but
with no injuries. Yeah.
what I meant is, if you can have guys, they won the last test against England without Bumrah. So you do have guys who have performed. They've shown the potential. So it's not like we have to be so much worried about playing, having missing him against the West Indies. Yeah, I know you are looking at the WTC cycle. All the games are important, undoubtedly. But if he does miss a game or two here and there, and you do have other guys likes of Akash Deep, Prasidh Krishna, all of these guys, Siraj, who did well in the tests. That's how you've got to manage him if you want to have him across formats, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think with the way India's headed, right, there is a pace arsenal that's being groomed and nurtured around Bumrah as it should be, right? Because he is going to be the spearhead in all likelihood across formats. So let's see how that sort of pans out. But we haven't spoken so far about the spin department itself, right? Here, India is looking at a mix of wrist spin options, you have finger spin options. Few of us disappointed that Ravi Bishnoi didn't sort of make the cut, and others did. Kuldeep again, another name that continues to be there. Hopefully, he gets some opportunities. Rishabh, how does this combination look like for you again in Asian conditions? Do you still think India is probably lacking that genuine wicket-taking threat in the middle overs? And someone like a Yuzi Chahal would have probably answered some of those questions for you.
With UZ, I feel he's been out of the squad, out of the Indian team for quite some time now. 23, I think the last he played a T20, 24 World Cup also he didn't play. He did have a good IPL, but again with Kuldeep, you're looking at that wicket taking ability. Off late, he's been the more attacking spinner, off late if you compare the two. And again, Kuldeep can bat a bit as well, so that's where Chahal takes a backseat really. But I'm not much concerned about the spin attack for Asia Cup, because there's a good chance you could see Varun, Aksar, and Kuldeep, all three of them playing together in Dubai if if the permissions, I mean, if the conditions demand for that. And there's enough variety, I believe, because all three of them are different spinners. You have Aksar as your left arm, your orthodox. Off spinner. You have your wrist spinner in Kuldeep. Then you have someone like Varun, who on paper is a leg spinner, but then he also bowls the off break occasionally. He has the flipper. He bowls the carom ball as well. He bowls those Yorkers as well. He's got enough variations there. So you have a lot of variety in the spin attack that way. So I don't think we are lacking that way. With Ravi Bishnoi, again, I feel a crowded space. You already have Kuldeep there, and then you have Aksar who can bat, and you have Varun as one, Varun and Kuldeep as your specialist spinners, and Aksar as that all rounder. So again, Ravi Bishnoi will have to wait for his chance, is all you can tell, because of that crowded space. Not a lot of slots available.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how India's spin department sort of shapes up. But again, Rishabh, I think so far we have at least at large, looked at all the departments and how that will eventually pan out for India. But how does India's playing 11 shape up for you, right? Again, this is an ideal case scenario where you're like, the master at hand. You can decide that playing 11. So over to you. How does it look like?
If I could, I would have Samson at the top, firstly. But yeah, see, Abhishek and Gill to open, no doubt. Tilak at three. We'll have Sky at four, I feel. Hardik at five. Jitesh at six as their wicket-keeper finisher. So that's your top six. Probably Dubey at seven, Aksar at eight, or you shuffle them at seven, eight, eight, seven, whatever, however. Then you have Varun at nine, and then you have your two pacers, Bumrah and Ashdeep. I feel this is largely going to be the 11 that will at least start.
And yeah, I think as the tournament progresses, you'll see a few tweaks here and there, but at least on paper, right? A very, very formidable Indian playing 11 and a team that really is reeking of absolute champions there. But again, Rishabh, when you look at the squad at large, right, it obviously gives you a clear reflection of how India wants to shape its T20 identity. You look at aggressive batting, spin heavy like middle over sort of things, pace at the death. So again, how would you look at just the way India is shaping? You're looking at each of these series to add up to something, right? As the World Cup next year sort of progresses, so the nucleus is getting built here, correct?
Yeah, I mean, these could pretty much be the guys who you'll see playing in that T20 World Cup in like what, a year and a half from now, probably. And I think the template is pretty clear. You want aggressive batting at the top. Sorry, you have those guys in the middle order who can take in that pressure, slow things a bit down if needed, but they can also, push they can really push the aggressor button if needed. They can also play that aggressive game, the likes of Surya, Hardik, and all of these guys. They can hit big. And one template is clear that they are looking at batting depth, no compromise there. Very evident from the squad that has been picked. And you're looking at your five bowlers strategy. Your two paces, one genuine spinner, and then you have two all rounders, one spinner, and one fast bowler. Very clear five bowling options. Then you have guys like Abhishek who can probably chip in with an over or two in between. So very clear template, very sorted template. I feel that this is pretty much what they're going to follow. I believe uh, at least till the 26 Asia Cup, no doubt. Right balance as well between youngsters and experienced guys. So I think it's shaping up really well from that sense.
Yeah, and excited to see the kind of results it continues to give us. If not anything, the kind of T20 brand of cricket that India's been playing in the past year and a half. I think it's something that has been quite spectacular. So let's see how that shapes up. And Rishabh, we have almost reached the end of our discussion. Do you have any last and final thoughts? Are you just excited for the Asia Cup, all the cricket it's going to bring? I think for a lot of Indian fans who are just craving for some sort of cricketing action, the Asia Cup is here to sort of wet that palate in that regard. So excited for what the multi-nation tournament brings in.
Yeah, definitely, because there's been a long gap now. Although recently concluded, the England series feels like it happened ages ago now already. So definitely, from that perspective, exciting to have some Indian cricket. Obviously, there are a lot of leagues happening. The DPL, Kerala League, UP League, simultaneously going on. Guys who are in the squad playing in those leagues as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform when it comes to the international level. And a lot of questions will also be answered. Were the guys who are picked deserving enough? Did they repay the faith? Or you'll get a clear picture of how things stand. Is this the combination, or there are some things needed to be changed? You can bring in some other guys, what to do, what not to do. Basically, it'll set the roadmap. The journey for the 26 T20 World Cup begins from this tournament. So, from that sense, a very important tournament, more than the result. Even if we end up losing the tournament, that's fine. But more importantly, you want to look at how the guys are doing, at which slot, at which position. Do they fit in there or not? Do you have to bring in someone else, or the permutations, combinations? So from a tactical point of view, I think it'll give us a lot more clarity once the tournament ends, as to where we stand and how our decision making stands. So very important from that perspective, I feel.
Yeah, I think in that regard, there's absolutely so much to look forward to, and I hope the Asia Cup sort of delivers in that regard. But yeah, so that pretty much does conclude our discussion. Thank you so much, for joining me. Again, on short notice, I just sent you a message. And the next thing I know, we are doing this live as always. Bringing your enthusiastic self and delivering. So thank you so much for that. For all the viewers who have, who will join us after the stream is done, make sure to like the stream, and also comment your thoughts. Let us know, what does your playing 11 look like? Do you agree with Rishabh, disagree with him, or do you again, secretly want Sanju Samson to somehow, just open, and let's see how the Asia Cup also plays out. We will try to do live streams like this, through the Asia Cup too. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But yeah, folks, that's all for now. Thank you so much, Rishabh. Good night, folks.